Hello, my name is Olivia Edwards and this is my fashion practitioner case study. Firstly, here's a few facts about me. I'm currently a student at Birmingham City University studying fashion branding and communication. Another fun fact is I originally did fashion design for 1 year, but then realising I wanted to go down the branding and styling sector of fashion instead, so I swapped. I'm currently also employed at Boring Selfridges working on the level 3 women's wear. I found working around fashion whilst continuing my degree has really helped and also gave me an insight into a variety of different clothing. I'm also a supporter of sustainable fashion, leaving me a real sucker for charity shops and vintage fairs. I also consider myself a buyer and seller on Depop, and also just love the idea of discovering hidden gems on there that can be passed on to one loving owner to the next. Recently, as a little hobby, I've taken up pottery making. I took that up in the summer, making now a variety of trinkets, vases, and mugs that I originally just started doing from scratch. I hope to one day proceed on to make my own little collection of pottery. For my aspiring job roles, I decided to look into trend forecaster, editorial stylist, wardrobe stylist, brand manager, and fashion journalist. Firstly, starting with wardrobe stylists, they can either work for a store, agency, or on a freelance base. They can determine what clothes and accessories work well with a client, whether it be for an event or photo shoot. The goal may not be to change a client's look, but initially change their personal style. They can be responsible for making sure they look stylish and on trend with different outfits. Key features they might have is a key eye for trends, creative flair, and imagination towards the job. For editorial stylists, they can work more on published editorials, television, music videos, and live performances. They could be involved in creating a concept for a photo shoot or collaborating with a fashion designer to bring an idea to life. An editorial stylist can also transcend into location scouting, set design, garment sourcing to prepare a shoot. Their job will entail having good management skills around human behaviour and connections so that the project has a good outcome. On to my first interviewee was Tom Westwood. He was an editorial stylist living in the West Midlands currently. Tom takes on many different stylist roles currently as editorial, commercial, and personal stylist. His journey began after exploring his own personal style through lockdown, and then he found himself posting creative content of his looks and influential projects on his socials. This then inspired him to seek styling other individuals. Furthermore, he then ventured on to working in photo shoots where he would source clothing and work with PR agencies, for which then his schedule or location could be different every day.
Prior to doing the actual shoot, if I know I've got a shoot and I'm gearing up for it, what I'll be doing is I'll be researching, if it's an editorial, researching independent brands, designers, contacting PR agencies, pulling the clothes, sourcing that, creating mood boards, just pulling everything together for the shoot. If it's a commercial, most likely would be buying returns. I'd be looking online to buy stuff because I just want simple clothes, mate, a lot of the time. So like ASOS, sites where I can return them pretty easily, or charity shops a lot as well. No such thing as too much, as in you can never source enough clothes. I've been on shoots where I've managed to just get enough clothes and I've just scraped by, and I've been on shoots where they've asked for 4 looks and then on the day they want 8.
On to fashion journalist. So what does the job role entail for fashion journalists? They tend to have a passion for the latest clothing trends and proceeding then to write about them. They could be working within a publication, website, advertising, or TV company. It can involve reporting on fashion shows or any other event, collecting information through research or interviews they found in the industry. You also can get more freelance journalists that can just discuss styles, certain matters and issues for readers, alongside attending any press days, assisting possibly photo shoots and styling models. Journalists could also use the tools such as Photoshop and social networking sites to help their publication appear. My next interviewee was Emma Hawkins. She is a beauty and fashion journalist for Ball Media, currently living in London. Her role as a writer specialises in beauty, reviews, skincare, makeup and fashion, whilst also discussing the latest celebrity outfits and collaboration in media. From studying fashion buying and design at university, it led her to work her way up the ladder through internships and assisting styling teams on shoots. Then in 2019, she landed her first full-time paid internship at OK magazine as a fashion intern, and there she became more familiar with fashion and beauty whilst being mentored by her colleagues that helped to transfer her skills from styling over to writing. I asked Emma a series of questions, the some being, what made you want to go into fashion and beauty journalism? She said that she preferred moving nearer to London and started to contact every stylist she could who worked for freelance and styled for publications. She stated, I did a bunch of work experience with them, then landed a 3-month job at the last season on The X Factor. After that, I landed my first full-time paid internship with OK magazine. I wasn't a journalist by trade. I hadn't studied English or journalism at uni, so it took me a while to get into it, but I can now proudly say it's my thing. Another question I decided to ask Emma was, what does your job role entail at Heat magazine? She stated, in my current role at Ball Media, I produce fashion and beauty for multiple publications, including Heat Mag, Bella for fashion. She talks about what celebrities wearing, how to get their look. She also stated she reviewed red carpet looks, celeb collaborations, and assisted on styling shoots with models, celebs, and our real-life models. My last question that I asked Emma was, what do you think is in store for the future of fashion and the industry moving forward? She stated, I'm not sure what's in the future for the industry. I am conscious that print is a dying trend. With the rise of digital media, something I'm excited about is the drive towards diversity and inclusivity. My next job role that I looked into was trend forecaster. A trend forecaster is responsible for predicting trends that will develop in industry. They may use consumer insights to predict trends that are likely to impact certain demographics. They could be based at agencies such as WGSN, where they will analyse consumer data and through that create recommendations for future clothing. They may also travel to different countries to spot new trends or get a broader idea of products in industry, possibly working alongside a company to help them define their consumer strategies through trends. My last job role that I looked into was brand manager. This job entails firstly building a brand, its identity and brand strategy. They may also oversee all different functions such as communication channels, product development and market research. It could involve determining demands for certain products, collecting statistics of what their customers love. The role mainly could entail them being the guardian of a brand to make sure it's meeting its full potential. Another of my interviewees, my last one, was Alex. She is a vintage brand and market owner living in the West Midlands. Alex built her own job role after finishing her master's. Funnily enough, her mother originally owned their vintage brand and market events, but Alex decided to partner up with her on the business. She then opened a new vessel for the brand through social content and visibility. She also then recently opened her own pop-up shop of clothing in Redbrick Market for their brand. Along with this, she has now recently become the manager of Cow Selfridges, where she spends time specialising in merchandising their garment stock, elevating sales and creating social content for them. Some of the questions that I decided to ask Alex were, how did you first get into owning your vintage shop and organising events? She stated, I've always been the quirky one amongst my friends, but my mum started collecting vintage stuff and she turned our garage into a stockroom. Rails in there, double rails, so I practically lived it, breathed it and eaten it. Vintage was under my nose, so I got involved in the business. The last question I decided to ask Alex was, what do you think is in store for the future of fashion? She stated, I think we're going towards a sustainable future, but I don't know if it's just a micro trend. Fun fact, there's enough clothing in the world to clothe the next 6 generations. We're never going to run out. Then onto my own creative CV after researching my job roles. On the left, as you can see, was my normal employment CV. As you can see from each CV going downwards, I decided to look more into coloration, bringing a boldness to my CV to make it more creative. I also then started to include possibly a picture of myself, looked at different ways of placing the layout with different fonts, then leading me on to my finalised creative CV. This was my final CV that I decided to go with. Just showing to the left, the two images on the top left and top right are my own illustrations. I really thought it was a nice, important thing to include these in my CV, just to add a personal touch to me and just to elevate some of my drawings to my CV to make it more creative. I also then started to include possibly a picture of myself, looked at different ways of placing the layout with different fonts and as such. Then leading me on to my finalised creative CV. This was my final CV that I decided to go with. Just showing to the left, the two images on the top left and top right are my own illustrations. I really thought it was a nice, important thing to include these in my CV, just to add a personal touch to me and just to elevate some of my drawings. I got my original inspiration was from these other two images here of the two women is Florence Gibbons' illustration. She is an incredible illustrationist, very quirky. I love her bold colours and the way she tends to create her drawings. They're very sassy and I feel like it really resonates with me. So she gave me a lot of inspiration to start creating my own illustrations. On to then brands I would wish to work for. On to then brands I would wish to work for. Firstly being House of Sunny. House of Sunny is originally founded by Sunny Williams and was first produced in Hackney, London in 2011. It is known for being a very independent, sustainable brand that designs printed and playful motifs for a collective future. Their timeless and extravagant garments are all made with recycled clothing and wrapped with biodegradable packaging to meet their no waste policy. House of Sunny stands for a community of creatives striving through clothing and driven to making staple pieces of the moment. They are immensely grabbed by the attention of Gen Zs and definitely peaked in 2021 with gaining 492k followers on Instagram in the past year. Onto another brand I wish to work for is ID Magazine. ID Magazine was brought out its first publication in 1980 by Vice Media. They're originally founded by Terry Jones, a former Vogue art director. It first began as a small fanzine dedicated to the street style of London fashion in the punk area. From then, it has developed into a glossy magazine projecting contemporary fashion culture. Then onto my action plan. Starting in December 22 currently, I firstly started to look at creating a LinkedIn profile, then looking at designing my creative CV. I then started my second interview, which was with Emma Hawkins. I did my interview with Alex back in November. I then looked into discussing internships with Emma, possibly working for one of her magazines. Through December, started looking at adding to my Instagram professional portfolio, uploading any more projects to LinkedIn. Through early December also, I did my second interview with Tom. I then started to look at also connecting with any other individuals through LinkedIn that I may get a chance of another interview with. I will then look into thinking about placement, which then will lead me on to January 2023. As we then look into February 2023, I will then be researching placements and hopefully be starting one at the end of that month. My reflection for this project, I would say overall, is I'm very content with the research I found through this project, and it has encouraged me to begin my route down particular pathways in fashion. I have thoroughly enjoyed having a variety of job roles to research, as when I began this project I felt very open-minded but lacked a lot of confidence in what role I actually wanted to pursue. Altogether, I think I would choose two job roles I would most like to pursue, being an editorial stylist and fashion journalist. From my research, I really enjoyed understanding the role of a stylist, personal, editorial and commercial. From Tom's responses also, he seemed to dabble in between every role throughout his job, which really intrigued me. Onto the fashion journalist role, I found Emma's replies to be a great insight into her job, especially for how she worked her way up the ladder from university to now. I really love the mix of activities she does in part of her role, along with writing. She may handle photo shoot preps and assist and help create fashion content for social media. To finalise, I think this project has made me discover I am looking for a fashion role which allows me to have creative thinking and work on a variety of tasks. I will follow this into my work placement search and I hope to gain a great experience from it in March. From here further on, I would love to continue exploring different brands through LinkedIn and Instagram to start connecting me into the industry.